Thank you for joining us for our Friends with FieldView webinar series. This is, I think, the fifth one or fourth webinar that we have conducted on our Friends with FieldView. And so we thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to talk about Fluorescence, and there are some new events taking place with Fluorescence that you guys are going to be on the cutting edge with this webinar this morning. I'm Mindy McDermott. I'll serve as the host today, so I will be managing the questions. There are a couple ways that you can ask questions this morning, and we want you to be able to get those to our presenters. So if you have the Q&A box over on the right-hand side of your screen, you can type that message right in there. If you prefer to do the chat, then in the bottom middle of your screen, you'll see the chat bubble, and you can click on that. I'll monitor both of those locations for the questions that you will send in to our presenter. And then the next piece of housekeeping that we need to take care of is our friends in legal like to keep us out of trouble. So they want to make sure that we made sure that you all know that the Friends with FieldView webinars are for informational purposes only. The Climate Corporation has not vetted and does not endorse any claims made by third parties. However, we do have our friends with Fluorescence on the phone today, and Scott Beck is a colleague of mine. He is a climate activation manager. Scott, I'll turn things over to you to get us started and to introduce our guest.
Definitely. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Mindy, and thank you to those for joining us for our Friends with FieldView series. Like Mindy mentioned, my name is Scott Speck. I'm an activation manager for the Climate Corporation, and this morning we're joined by Dr. Manal Elarab. She would be the head of business development for Fluorescence. This past week, Fluorescence had some exciting news and recently acquired a company called Dagan and have formed a new organization that will be called Regrow, as you'll see some of the updates to the company name in this presentation this morning. The goal of our Friends with FieldView series is to provide general awareness of the platform partners that are integrated with climate to customers and dealers of Climate FieldView, while also providing an opportunity to learn more about the partner products, the support and field teams available, as well as the offers that they have tailored specifically to FieldView dealers like yourself that you'll hear at the end of the presentation today. Today, we have our friends from Regrow on to discuss how to utilize imaging for analytics and reporting on multiple scaled levels. If you don't know that about them, Fluorescence, now Regrow, provides decision support tools for farm management across the cropping season. Through reports, analytics, and imaging-based layers, Regrow provides opportunities for insight at multiple levels. Thanks again for joining us, and please ask questions as we go along. I'll pass it over to our friends from Regrow now. Manal, it is all yours.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mindy. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be part of Climate's Friends webinar series. My name is Manal. I come from Regrow as of Monday, which, as Scott has mentioned, we are rebranding to Regrow. Fluorescence is the agronomy branch of Regrow, and Dagan, our new acquired company, is a company that joined us in our mission and vision to combine agronomy and sustainability in one platform. So yes, if you're coming to hear about Fluorescence, Fluorescence is now Regrow. That's our new name. And today I'm happy to share with you what are we bringing to the market on the agronomy side to enable the agronomists, to enable your connectivity with your growers, and to enable you as dealers and location managers within the Climate FieldView ecosystem. So a little bit about Regrow. Actually, Regrow was founded on Monday. It started existing on Monday, but Fluorescence has been in the market for the past a couple of years. Fluorescence was founded in 2016, Australian-born. Our team is spread across the world, the globe, with offices in the US, in Australia, in Brazil, and in Europe. We currently monitor about crops in about 14 countries. A lot of our users and customers are global customers. So you would see them monitoring their farms in Australia, as well as in Brazil, in California, in the Midwest. It's very common. A little bit about our investors that speaks to our nature and to our DNA. Our investors are split into two main categories: the science side, heavily backed by the CSIRO and the Cotton and Grain Board. And on the technology side, we are backed by Microsoft VC. We are the only AgTech company that Microsoft has invested in, and we're very proud to be the solution of choice to such a technology tycoon, as well as to many of our customers. We've got plenty of badges that we're very proud of, including the latest AgTech Breakthrough Award of 2020. So Regrow, it's a bunch of all of these individual, very passionate people that are driven by agronomy and sustainability mission and vision of our company. We're spread across the globe. What you're looking at is a bunch of agronomists, data science, software engineer, and people that have built products that are now available for us to share with our customers. Our leadership of Regrow spreads between the scientists on the team, the technology, our CTO, and our product manager, and last but not least, our founder and our CEO, Dr. Anastasia Volkova. So what does Regrow represent? Regrow is a platform, it is a solution that helps and supports analytics throughout the growing season. On the agronomy side, we help you track your crop performance, provide nitrogen recommendation, find areas where you need to stress. On the sustainability side as well, verifying of management practices similar to tillage and cover crop. And on the carbon side and nitrogen, it's accounting for your soil organic carbon content and running multiple scenarios on what can your soil carbon content develop if you adopt different scenarios. So for the purpose of our webinar today, I'm going to be focused on the agronomy that is available on the Regrow. So who is our customers? Who have we been working with over the past 4 or 5 years? So we serve businesses across the supply chain. We work with input providers. Our customers are farmers and co-ops and retail location. Our customers are food processors, as well as CPG and consumers that are very much interested in our sustainability work. So Regrow is the name of our company, and Fluorescence is the name of our platform. Fluorescence is a platform that enables you to achieve 3 main goals. We want you to engage with your grower, be able to connect with your growers, and provide them continuous information about where their crops are at, which fields need their attention, how they're doing compared to their neighbors and everyone else in the region. The analytics as well thrive to deliver to you more agronomical knowledge, just for the fact that we analyze multiple sources of data, and we are able to sometimes find things in the field that are not visible to the naked eye, so we can enhance your agronomical knowledge. And we can make sure that we are surfacing through those insights. We surface areas that will need your attention and will need your service. So you maximize the opportunity of being at the right spot, monitoring and taking samples, and perhaps writing a recommendation when needed. As well as operational efficiency, this is the main target of the analytics, which is the capability to best allocate people and resources. So how does the Fluorescence engine work? Fluorescence is an engine, and it speaks to multiple sources of information. Fluorescence is connected by API to satellite imagery, similar to Sentinel, for example. Sentinel is a satellite that passes over your fields on cadence of about 3 to 5 days, every 3 to 5 days of resolution 10 meter. So Fluorescence has an API that can capture those imagery that were imaged by Sentinel. In addition to that, we can also retrieve data imaged by planet. So you can choose the 10 meter resolution or the 3 meter resolution. In addition to imagery, through API, we're connected to soil data, weather data, machinery data, and we're connected to climate FieldView. Once all of those APIs get synced and you're able to bring those different silos of data, Fluorescence develop with every new image that comes in a report called crop performance and crop stress report. And we also provide a nitrogen recommendation tool that I will not get into a lot of details on this webinar. So let's see how can you actually connect to FieldView and what can be synced, and how do you get started to enable those analytics on your fields. So this is our platform, Fluorescence. If you come to your user profile, you would look at the integrated platform tab. Once you click on that, you will be directed to go to your FieldView account. You can sync your account. You pretty much need to log in with your FieldView email and password. And then what will populate here is a list of all of your farms and fields that are on FieldView. You can pretty much say, I have this grower, I'm going to expand him, and I'm going to bring a couple of his fields to the platform, and I say import. What happens next, what gets imported is the hierarchy, so your grower's name, your field name, your farm name, as well as your planting date and your crop type. So this is, for example, Xanadu is a farm that I brought in. I'm going to go and take you there to see what was brought in from FieldView. So on this farm, we had 3 seasons. We had a season of soybean, oat, and soybean, and we had planting date and harvested date. This is all the information needed. And within that farm, as you can see, there's all the fields that were imported from your climate FieldView. So this enables us to get started. What does that mean? This is a season. It starts from October and it's harvested in February. This is a Brazilian example, hence their growing season. So what happens is the platform will automatically start retrieving data all the way from October till February. So you will see here on this drop-down menu, we started getting data on the 14th of October, and it will continue being retrieved all the way to get to the 1st of February. So now we're looking at this field that was obtained. I want to show you another example that we're able to retrieve from climate as well. Let's say on your climate, you have your as planted data. This is an example here where we are also able to retrieve the different seeding rates that are on your climate FieldView account. So let's say you planted this field and you had multiple seeding rates. So each one of them will also, each zone will also be imported into the platform, and you can run analytics on each zone. It could be the case sometimes that you have different varieties. So you can also say, show me the varieties, and you can say this is a field that has 2 varieties that were planted. So now your field is also divided into smaller units, which are planting areas. And those planting areas, we can report analytics on the planting area, not only on the field. Okay, so let's start by talking about the analytics. I'm going to go to this example and share with you a few scenarios. So this is the case of a field. And actually, I mean, as I'm looking to a lot of, as we're talking to a lot of location manager, I wanted to pull up some big examples of how would a retail or a location manager use these analytics. This is an example of a location manager that oversees, or a dealer that oversees a lot of fields in the Central Basin, Franklin County area. You see, these are all his fields. There is about 141 fields planted in potato, 123 fields in alfalfa, and 86 fields planted in corn. So you have an overview of everything happening in your field. Let's say this is an example of the case that you would be looking at. Let's go and zoom in and select only the corn. So I've only selected the corn from all of my basin. So now I'm looking at all of the corn, and I'm looking at the date on the 28th of August. What are the information that we are reporting on? And we are packaging all of that in an email and sending it to you on a weekly basis. All of this information that I'm going to cover will be packaged in an email. I'll show you a lot of examples today, and will be delivered to your grower, to your agronomist, and to you as a location manager. Crop status is one of the pieces of information. It tells you about at what growth stage your potatoes are at. It's going to go anywhere from emerged to senescence, to harvest. This is the 6 labels that you will see on this crop status information box. Right now, I can say, okay, find me the potatoes that have senescent. So I have just clicked on the potatoes that senescing, and I'm able to sort that there are 46 fields that have just entered senescing. They are in the senescing phase. In addition to the crop status, I'm able also to provide, the analytics provide information about the crop growth. So from last week to this week, let me see the fields that are actually in fast decline. So I'm going to select the fields that are in fast decline. And as you can see, as a location manager, you'd be like, okay, on the southern side of my area, those fields seem to be fastly going from senescence into harvest because they are in decline and they are already senescing. So those are the fields that we should harvest first. Hence, what we said about maximizing and making your operation much more efficient. You're able to have an overview of what is going on in your region. Where are the areas that have emerged, areas that have not emerged, areas that are heading into senescence faster, and areas that are ready to be harvested, fields. In addition to that, let me go back and see all my corn. And then I want to see where are the corns that have the high vigor. So I've clicked on high vigor and I want to identify which of these corns are corns that have, especially in corn, we all know how much vigor is a representation of yield potential. So in August, those are the fields that have the highest vigor. Also, you would see something which is biomass NDVI over time. So I'm trying to identify where are my fields that are my best performing fields and where are my fields that are my worst performing fields. And they are color coded. My two best are this orange and yellow, and my two worst are those two fields that are located there. So this is the capability to benchmark. You can benchmark on varieties. You can benchmark based on field, variety, seeding rates, whatever you would like to benchmark against. This is an example. I'm looking now at this capability to see how my corn fields are stacking against each other. So I've got 4 fields in question, a field here, 1 here, and 2 in this location. I can see that this is the blue line, which represents this field of corn, is the one that is accumulating the highest biomass and has the biggest vigor. And vigor is directly proportional to corn yields and is a good representation. Areas of high vigor come out to be areas of high yield, especially in corn. So all of this information that I shared with you, let me actually add one more piece to it, and then we'll transition to see what is the experience of your grower, your agronomist, and you as a location manager. So with every image that comes in, with every new satellite imagery that we retrieve, it could be a resolution of 10 meter or resolution of 3 meter if you decide to use the high resolution option. So with every image that comes in, we also analyze it. We run a model called crop stress model on it. What does that mean? Think about it as a scanner. So your image goes through that scanner, and what we identify, what comes out of it is your field, and on top of your field is those areas of concern. Those are all stressed areas. So the algorithm is not diagnostic. It doesn't tell you that this area has an issue of nematodes, or this area has an issue of deficiency of zinc. What it does, in fact, is it provides you with information about this is your whole field and those areas require your attention. We recommend that you go out and scout them because they are significantly different and they're getting worse over time. And you'll see that all of these areas are also identified by color. If it's blue, that means it's a problem area that we are detecting for the first time on the 20th of March. If it's yellow, it means it's a problem area that actually has a history. So it has a detection history. It's been a problem ever since the beginning of January, and it's just going up in time. And it's becoming more severe, and it's becoming bigger in size. Whatever we see that is yellow and green is also persistent stresses, and they're either increasing in size or increasing in severity, the yellow and the green color respectively. So how do our users use that information? What they do is they look at these reports that are delivered to their inbox, and they make a decision of who do I need to visit, who do I need to scout, who do I need to go and take some samples, verify, investigate, why is there stresses on his field all of a sudden? Last week everything was good, today things are blowing up. So they would go to their field, to their customer's field, provide the best service, investigate if there's an opportunity to do a recommendation, if there's an opportunity to understand or to explain what is going on, take a sample, take a soil sample, a tissue sample, and whatever the case is. So this analytics is called crop stress. Now, I would like to share with you what do we actually provide the grower, what is sent to the grower, what is sent to the agronomist, and what is sent to a location manager. So this is an example of a report that will reach the inbox of your growers, and you can decide if you want to enroll your growers in this, or you only want to enroll your agronomist and your location managers. If you want to include your grower or your agronomist, this email will be sent to your agronomist and grower. Usually what we do is we try to send it at a frequency of once a week. Some co-ops, some retail location recommend that we do it every 2 weeks. And in some cases, they say send it twice a week. So we're all back, we accommodate the frequency and the date of when it will make sense given your operations. So this is an email. We're sending this email to John. John is planting corn, and he's looking at all of these fields. These are all his corn fields. This week, we see that all his fields that are red are fields that did not have stress, that had stress detected. And these fields here that were yellow are fields that do not have stresses. So just from looking at his report, the agronomist or the scouting team that's receiving this report is able to look at it and be like, okay, I need to go visit those fields that are more on the southern part. I need to be able to go and visit them. I will give them priority to be checked and for me to investigate if there's an opportunity for an action, a service, a recommendation, whatever the case is. Now the grower and the agronomist can click on the detailed report and it will populate this report for him. It will show him in details all of those fields that have issues. Where is the issue? Where is it on the field so he can drive to it, walk to it, how big his problem area is, when was it first detected. So he has all the information needed to all of his fields that he wants to go out and he wants to visit. So in addition to that, the grower is also, or the agronomist is going to scroll down and now start looking at his report at crop by crop. So I'm looking now at all my corn. How is my biomass spread over my corn? Where are the fields of high biomass? Where are the fields of low biomass? He'll be able also to sort that by variety. Which variety has a higher biomass? Within that variety, how are each of these fields behaving within those same varieties or seeding rates, whatever he decides to benchmark or to analyze against. He will also have a snapshot of all of the crop status of his fields. So some fields are in crop development, some fields are in closed canopy. This number here tells you this is the number of fields that have just entered crop development. So there is one new field that have just entered crop development. So you can see also the progress over time. How many of my fields week by week are entering senescence or are entering closed canopy? So you can also plan your operation accordingly. In addition to that, you have an information about the speed of growth, similar to what I demoed on the platform, and a biomass of your NDVI over time, identifying your 2 best performing fields and your 2 worst performing fields. So what this report is, in other words, it's pretty much summarizing what you would see on the dashboard of the platform. It's giving you all of this information right here per crop type. This is what the report provides. Now let's look at this example where we're looking at a report that is to be delivered to a location manager. So now we're talking about someone looking at 50,000 acres. He's got 20 growers. Each one has a total of 152 fields. So it's more of a larger scale example. And this is the case where they're all soybeans. He has a list of all of the fields, their names, their hectares, and their planting dates, as well as the crop status. So across all of his region, where are areas of high stresses, areas of low stresses? And usually, you know, they correlate that, okay, there was heavy rain here, hence all of these stresses are showing up because there's damage on the crop. So that's where the agronomist will put together multiple pieces of information. Or for example, oh, we just sprayed there, we sprayed his neighbor, we've got stresses, it might be a situation of drift. So you put together those pieces of information And what this report provides is this overview of understanding where are those hotspots that you need to attend to and provide service on. Similar, it also summarizes your crop performance. Where are areas of high biomass, low biomass, areas of different crop statuses, as well as where at a regional level are my best performing fields and areas that have my lower performing fields. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the presentation because let me see if I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. So we've talked about the grower. Growers will receive those emails if you choose to. A lot of our customers and one of our main customers last year have reported a 60% increase in communication between the growers and their agronomist of that location in the scenario where the grower was receiving the email. So we trialed a few things. We had some agronomists that were receiving the emails, the insights, as well as their growers, and we had agronomists that were not receiving the insights, neither them nor their growers. And upon comparison of their interaction with their grower, especially, the COVID scenario, the growers that were receiving, they were in communication 60% more than those that were not receiving emails. And not every time it was about the report. It wasn't always, oh, I got the report, I have a question. Not at all. It was just the fact that this continuous streamline of connectivity and this email that pops up in their inbox with your logo, the location logo, your branding on it, just gave them more connectivity to pick up the phone and call him about everything else, not only the imagery. Another stakeholder that's empowered by these analytics is the agronomist. So we want to make sure that the agronomist is not missing out on any potential agronomical problem. We want to be able to detect nematode early on. We want to be able to sample from the best spots. We want to be able to attend if there is to any kind of stress that is spreading continuously over your field. And also the location manager being able to have this overview and receive regional level reports and regional level benchmarking is something that would enable him to do his job and make his operation as efficient as possible. So getting started is quite easy. Connect to FieldView, import your fields by click of a button, and you're good to go. I want to describe a little bit about another kind of report that we are offering, which is called an end of season report. So this is a report that gets turned on and enabled around August, after August, at the end of August. That's what we did last year especially to our corn growers. So let's dive a little bit into this report and show you how it's different and what is it made up of. So the end of season report is a report that is designed and put together to achieve two things. One, we consider it as a launch for the conversation of what do we want to do next year between the agronomist of that location and his grower. What do we want to do next year? Are we going to use the same seed type? Are we going to plant what rotation? What are we going to do when it comes to sampling? What are we going to do when it comes to adding lime, or all of that question? It's that planning meeting, and this report is present in those planning meetings because it has all the data. It describes the dynamics of your field from last year. So you are in a position where you're able to make better decisions going forward. So this is a report for grower John. And this is, so envision the agronomist and grower John going over their plan for next year, and the agronomist has this report in his hand. So he's telling John, this is an overview of your fields. We had 15 fields we took care of last year, and we provided services and input on. A summary of the cumulative rain on these fields, a summary of the GDD on these fields, another piece of information of weather, which also brings a lot of value to the conversation. What is the cumulative rain from last year? How does it compare to the 5-year average? Has it been a dry, a wet? What was the scenario? So we can plan and analyze accordingly. After the weather part, we start looking at his fields. So the agronomist is telling John, out of your 15 fields of corn, there was 3 fields that had low biomass. They were underperformers. There was 10 fields who were average, not significantly different. And there was 2 fields who blew it out of the park. Those 2 fields had really good performance and they had the highest growth. And as I was saying, in corn, this is a huge indicator of yield. Then John and his grower are going to go over one by one. So field 1 was average, field 2 was average, field 6 was one of the 2 best fields, as well as field 13. And the red ones are field 7, 14, and 15. So now John and his agronomist, they are thinking about, okay, let's go field by field, analyze what went wrong, and try to think about and discuss what do we want to do different. And if this case, let's say if grower John had different varieties, those fields would be broken into varieties as well. So we would say variety hybrid A, these are the fields within hybrid A, and you will be able to compare those hybrids to each other. Hybrid B, let's compare all of your fields under hybrid B, or seeding rates. So we can go as granular as the data has. So we're looking at field 1. Let's dissect field 1. Field 1, the dotted line is what we are benchmarking against. And in this case, it's the region average in Kansas. So it's all of your corn that is, and actually in this case, it was all of the corn that were on the platform for Kansas. So you can benchmark against yourself from last season. We can benchmark against all of the corn in your area. We can benchmark against all of the corn of that variety in your area. So that's optional. So the dotted line is what we're benchmarking against, and the green line is the NDVI growth over his field. So this is meant to give an idea about how we're doing compared to the region. You can also see those 2 bars on that chart. And what we're trying to identify is when did we first see stresses? So over the whole growing season, we try to identify 3 to 5 incidents of high stress. And we bring it to John's attention. We say there was a big area of stress on the 30th of June. There was another big area of stress on the 3rd of August. And this area was consistent. Let's go look at the yield map. Let's look at the productivity map. What is wrong? Are we sampling from that area? So all of those conversations could be driven by these stresses and where they are, and which of these over the whole season, if you want to look at it in a synopsis, what are those 5 dates, that 5 areas where we found out that they were stressed and they continue to be stressed and we need to do something about it. In addition to that, also per field, we provide this productivity map. And what this productivity map, and it's been a really second best thing after a yield map, especially in corn, is because it represents what areas of high productivity and areas of low productivity. And our customers last year used those maps to early on, like in August when we generated those reports, they used those maps to go out there and scout for yield estimates on their corn fields. So this is in brief what this end of season report provide for you as a location, as a dealer. It's a piece of data that your agronomist and your grower can sit down with and have a conversation about what's going to happen next year, what are the things that need to be different, and plan for the coming growing season. This is called the end of season report. And what I shared previously was the in-season report. So these are the 2 reports that we are offering and we are presenting to our Climate FieldView network. End of season reports, as I was saying, we're trying to answer questions about soil sampling, fertility, placement, timing. How do I compare to my region? All of those questions are answered in the report. Now, what is the available bundle that we are extending to our climate network is the following. You can either sign up to receive the in-season and the end of season. Usually we price that at $3 an acre for the whole season, but there is a discount and a breakout per volume that is available as you're seeing on the screen. In addition to that, you can either choose this bundle, which includes both of these reports, or you can choose the bundle that is only for the in-season. So it's pretty much everything I covered about the performance of your fields and the stress. So it's this one email, this one right here, that includes everything you want to know about your field, from where things are at, where they are stressed. It's for in-season. It starts after planting and it ends at harvest. The end of season is a report that you would receive at the end of your growing season, usually after August. So this is a summary of what we're providing to the market, and the pricing, and what is exclusively available for the Climate Dealers Network. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nal. Those are really great features that you guys have within your platform. We do have some questions here that have come in. So if you're good with asking or answering a couple questions, I will get those presented to you.
Please do. Thank you.
Sure. So first off, what data is synced between FieldView and Fluorescence? Or, I'm sorry, I need to correct myself. Fluorescence, or is it Regrow? Gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's actually, here, that's a good question. Let's start there. So Regrow, Regrow is the name of our company, but the name of our platform is Fluorescence. So you're right.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
So I'll repeat the question then. What data is synced between FieldView and Fluorescence?
Yes, happy to explain that. So as I mentioned, when you come to the integrated platform and you bring up your field view and you choose the fields that you want to sync or import, what is brought to the platform is the following. It is pretty much your boundary, the name of your field and your farm, the planting date and projected harvested date, and your crop type. So this is an example of a field that I just imported. And this is an example of what will show up once I say import. Crop type, planting date, grower name, farm name, field name. And if you have as planted area on your FieldView climate account, we can also import the planted area, as planted data. So your variety, your different seeding rate, your different varietal hybrids that you've planted, we can also import that to the platform.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And so along those same lines, can field productivity zones be exported and imported into FieldView for prescription layers?
Yes. So yes, the productivity zone can be exported. I'm just pulling this up on one of the corn fields, soybeans fields that we have. So this is the productivity map that you saw in the report. It's also available on the platform. Once it populates, we're able to, I'll show you the download button where you can download. So here's, for example, here's your productivity map on this field. Well, this was severely damaged, so hence it's not very uniform. So what we're looking at is the productivity map on this field, and I can export it as a shapefile. And it will download, and you can take it into your field view. Correct.
Excellent. That is great. So let's continue on with a couple more questions.
Sure.
What sharing capabilities are there for analytics or reports?
Yes. So the report itself could be delivered to multi-inbox locations. So the same report can reach your grower, your agronomist, your location manager. So it's the same pieces of information that could be shared between those three stakeholders. In addition to that, let's say you as an agronomist, you did syncing, so you imported your fields, they're here on the platform, and you want your grower, for example, to see anything on your field. You can also share and say, add a user and invite someone with this link so they can come and see something specific that you have, that you want them to see. But the experience can all be offline, in a sense of the experience can all be through the reports, where your growers are still native to their climate app. But if they want to come to the platform and see more, you can invite more users here.
Excellent. So, Manal, if you could go back to I think it was the crop productivity page.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some tags and some labels over on the right-hand side of the screen. And so they were, insect disease, environmental pressure, those types of things. Can you talk to us a little bit about how those labels get associated with a particular field in your system?
Yes, very good question. Thank you, Mindy. So what you're looking at is actually after the agronomists have been to that field and they've looked at it, they took some samples, they walked through this area to get to those areas of concern. What they do is they can label it. So I'm going to show you here, this is the email that was sent to the agronomist. Okay, let's start the workflow from the beginning. On his phone, he can open his email and he will receive this one. If he clicks on it, just like how I did right now, it will open on his phone those locations. It will pop up on his phone. It's not an app, so it's on his web browser. It will directly take him to the field and show him those areas of problem areas that were visible in his email. Then what he can do is he can use the Find Me and location to walk to those areas. And then when he walks to them, he can label them. He can come and say, okay, I've looked at that and it's actually an insect. So as you can see now, it's going to be populated here with what you asked is like, how did we know it was an insect? It was after the agronomist went out there or the scouting team and provided a label to, this is what we saw. Something to add on the crop stress is there's many incidents where we see areas of concern or areas of stress and we really can't do anything about them. We already know that it's a different soil type, or we know that it's a different, it's a low point, like waters get staggered there, or it's a dry spot, or whatever the case is. So if we are detecting an area of stress that we can't do anything about it, we can also snooze it. So you can select that area and you can label it as it's a permanent soil issue or it's a permanent poor establishment. We know it, we are acknowledging it. I don't want to be notified about it, so I'm going to click on it as poor establishment and then it's just going to be snoozed. So once you snooze it, you will not be notified on it. You can unsnooze it later on, but it's meant to decrease the amount of fields, the amount of areas that we want to get your attention on. So what our users do is early on in the season, the first round of stresses, they're like, I know this is a soil issue. I know there's nothing I can do about it. It's just a different situation in this northern side. So I'm going to snooze a few. And that puts them at a great spot. So they only be notified for the things that they have actually wanted to take an action on. And one more thing I want to add on that, Mindy, if you don't mind, if I have a minute, is what we're doing right now is we still are asking the given how the workflow looks this season, our agronomists or the location manager will be looking at the email to find the areas of stress. What we're doing and what we're hoping to achieve with climate in the next growing season is being able to send those areas of stress, sync them back into the climate field view automatically. We currently do that for different farm management systems where, let's say this is the Bevington field and we're looking at the 15th of June. These are problem areas. What we do now and we want to do with climate going forward is we want to be able to automatically send all of these stressed areas to their app. So when they pull up this field on their end, they're able to see those stressed areas and perform and be native to the Climate Field View app. So they don't have to use the email to find where they are. But right now, the workflow entails that they will receive the email, and from the email, they'll be able to find the areas of concern.
Perfect. That's great. That's a good heads up to know what's coming. and what may be on the future timeline between Fluorescence and FieldView. So that's really great.
Yeah, and I would say like if someone is interested to say, okay, I really want to, am I able to export? Am I able to take those areas of concern and upload them somewhere else? Yes, you can. You can select all of them here and you can say download to KML, to shapefile, send it to whoever I wanted to send, and you can download it and take it to your FieldView account. And it was an interesting application that one of my customers was discussing with me yesterday. What they were doing is they were downloading the areas of stress. They were using the areas of stress to develop. Okay, so it was sugar beet, and there was a big heavy rain last year on them. And most of their fields were heavily damaged. So what they did is they used the stressed maps, those stressed areas, as cookie cutters. So they would create application maps that is everything in the field except the stressed areas, because they did not want to waste chemicals on those stressed areas. So it was just interesting how like in what I've been seeing is where are the stressed areas to go do something. This was an application where like, okay, let's find the stressed areas because that's where we want to do nothing. It was just an interesting approach to the black and white of the stressed areas.
Well, that is interesting use case there, Manal, too, and that's a great way to kind of showcase how these tools that are, you know, in existence today with data agriculture are helping farmers to customize their operations so that they can do what they want to do on their operations.
Yeah. A lot of use cases are available on our blog. We try to capture, you know, the experience of our users. So I would advise everyone to visit our blog page. But a couple of use cases come to mind, you know, especially on crop stress specifically, is the fact that it's able to, some of our co-ops actually use those reports as marching orders, in a sense of, I want to know where my scouting team need to be this week. Who are the places I need to go and visit? And there was a lot of incidents that were reported by our customers. I'm going to mention a few. One of them was, it was over, I think it was over corn here in the Pacific Northwest, where the imagery highlighted an area of stress. And the guy was like, the agronomist was, that's weird. Why would this area be stressed at this time? And it was nothing visible. So he drove by it. He didn't see anything. That's because, you know, what you look at is red, green, blue. That this is what we will see with our eyes. When we analyze the image, we're analyzing different layers that we don't see with our naked eye. We're analyzing the near infrared layer. We're analyzing the red edge layer. And by having those layers in the analysis, sometimes the analytics, and it's designed to do that, what it does is that it picks up really subtle, very subtle changes of between one part of the field and another part. So he went out there and then he dug up some soil underneath those crops, and he found very early infestation of nematoda. So he was very thrilled to find it early on, came back, wrote a recommendation, waited about a week or so, was waiting anxiously to get the new report on that field. He was comparing the stresses. He realized that stress went away. Somewhere else in the field that he did not spray had a new pop-up. He went out there and he actually did look at it as well and performed a service. So yeah, this was an example of being able to look at that data, decide where you need to go, and investigate if there's an opportunity of a service, a recommendation, for you to provide the best provided service for your grower.
Excellent. So, you know, I think you kind of, you know, answered this question, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. You may have another instance where you want to talk about it, but can you talk to me about, or talk to us about, what kinds of examples have you seen where agronomic decisions have been made? And you've given a couple already, but maybe there's another one where agronomic decisions have been made from alerts or reports that have been gained through Fluorescence.
Yes, yes. So yeah, there's plenty of examples, which makes my job very exciting. Is trying to talk to my customers on daily basis and infer from them. Okay, well, how was this helpful? What did you guys find with these analytics? Another example comes to mind is where crop stress was used for two things, mainly to try to understand the total damage that happened in over a region. So for example, it was an incident where a food processor, they were looking at the analysis of the crop stress, and I'm giving a lot of examples of crop stress. I'll give something else, but on this one specifically, what they did is that, like, okay, there was an incident, there was heavy rain, heavy wind, hail, whatever the situation was. They wanted to understand what was the total damage that happened on their fields, because as a food processor, they were committed to bringing back to the processor an X ton amount of produce. They had business commitments to sell that potato to a famous restaurant. So what they did is they used the power of this analytics to be able to assess the total damage. They were able to quantify it 2 days after the incident, the weather incident happened. And they're like, okay, we need to go and we need to order, we need to solicit contracts, we need to buy that amount that we have just lost. So that gave them a lot of flexibility, a lot of power from that information to make good business decisions, and at the end to satisfy their sales needs and the commitments of produce that they wanted to bring back to the food processor. Crop performance also, like the kind of analytics and the kind of agronomical information and efficiency it brings, a big part of it is around identifying where fields, how each variety is performing. So locally, you are able to best allocate the best seeds for the best locations. On weekly basis, you will see that variety, how it's performing, and you'll be able to say, okay, I would strongly recommend this specific for this soil type, because this is how, with all the data, this is how it performed compared to the other seed variety. There's a few examples that come to mind. And again, I advise everyone to go to our blog, because there's plenty of use cases and case studies that they would be very useful for you to look at.
Thank you, Manal. Those are fascinating examples. I just think about, that is a great example with the contracts and knowing the decisions that they can make that are even beyond agronomic decisions, business decisions that they can make with the data that they're being presented with through these platforms. And, that could be a very good business saving decision that they were able to make through those insights, I'll say. So this has been really great. Thank you for all of your information. I am going to turn things back to Scott for a closeout, but I do want to let folks know that this webinar is being recorded, and we will have it up on our YouTube channel on a playlist for our friends with FieldView. But Scott, if you would like to close us out with any thoughts that you have here today, and wrap things up for us.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Mindy, and thanks, Manal, for the time this morning. I'll just make a few closing comments here. Thank you again to the audience for joining us this morning. I hope you could get an insight into some of the things that Regrow can do through Fluorescence, and how there are some really great opportunities and options to connect and utilize data that's being collected to make decisions and to help connect those decisions to agronomic practices, and especially things like scouting potential that we learned about here today. As a reminder, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on the climate team for all things FieldView, as well as the Regrow team with any questions on their product or the offering. As a reminder, we'll have our last Friends with FieldView of this first series next month, March 18th at 9 a.m. here, where our friends with Croptomistic and Swap Maps will join us. Thank you again for your time, and have a great rest of the day.
As we conclude this session of the Friends with FieldView webinar, I want to remind you of the Climate Corporation's data privacy policy. Your permission is required. We do not share customer data with third parties without your consent. Third-party platform or agronomic partners will not see your data unless you choose to share or link your accounts with them. FieldView customers are in the driver's seat regarding their data. For more on our commitment to data privacy, see our website, climate.com/data-privacy for more information.